It's Philly Wonka here with another episode, and today we're going to be talking about what it actually means to break out of your comfort zone, the bubble that you created for yourself, what it means to move through life with assumptions and not the infinite curiosity that makes you question everything, and practical steps that you can take in order to achieve what you really want out of life. And what you really want out of life may not be what you think that you want out of life, but I digress. So, first, we need to talk about bubbles, what it means to be enclosed within a bubble. The bubble is your self limiting beliefs. Well, mostly it's just your self limiting beliefs, but it's also this feeling of not feeling worthy enough. It's also uh, your ethical and moral standpoint on a lot of the situation that's around you, which forces you to stick by only that and not consider other possibilities, even though the position that you're holding on to might not be absolute truth. This includes religion, this includes politics, this includes uh, where you stand as an environmentalist. It's all encompassing. So I've personally dealt with this. I've personally uh, combated a lot of my limiting beliefs, well, some of it, over the span of the past 4 years as I've gone through this self improvement journey through the help of various gurus. I don't want to call them gurus, but they are gurus on YouTube and other sites like that. And what all of them made me believe was that they made me believe in myself, in my unlimited capabilities as an individualistic, artistic human being. Because to be creative is not to be a certain type of person, although being a certain type of person can help. To be creative is to be immersed in this reality and to actively engage in all of that, which again, the bubbles that we construct prevent you from doing that because you only know the bounds of your bubble and nothing else, because everything outside the bubble is scary and it threatens your survival as a human being and your identity, which is fair enough why you don't venture outside too much. But venturing outside is the only way to growth. One of the biggest challenges in my life was with friendships, uh, because I had a fairly rough childhood uh, when it came to middle school and high school, because I didn't feel like I fit in with the rest of the crowd. And I was picked on because of my physical attributes, because I'm really short. I don't know if you guys can tell through the camera, but I'm really short and I'm really skinny as well. So all of these things combined created a not so ideal situation with big masculine bullies, the athletic jocks, people with a little bit of brute force in them to get what they want. So transition that from an environment like that to an art school, an art college, and everybody was a lot more accepting. Everybody just wanted to let loose, have fun, and be present and be enmeshed in all of the in the world that was opened up in front of them. Because film school, art school, that world was an entirely different world for all of us, actually, and especially to me, because I was like, holy, this is exactly what I thought life would not be like. And it got me questioning, like, what else is out there for me? But natural instincts was to remain enclosed in that bubble. It was so much more easier to be enclosed in that bubble that I formed myself, and to hide myself away in that. So I got a fancy pair of headphones, and all I did was close myself to the outside world, and just be stuck internalized. So forming new friendships meant that I needed to be vulnerable, and being vulnerable meant that I needed to let go of the bubble that I constructed for myself. That was very challenging to do, but I did it to the limited capabilities that I had at the present moment, or back then. Uh, and I understood sort of how easy it was to actually form friends, because it was not rocket science as somebody might have led me to believe. It was hardly difficult to make friends. Everybody was inviting. Um, but deep down inside, the things that unfolded in my past, I still hold on to today. So 4 years of work, reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, like Dale, by Dale Carnegie, that helped quite a bit. But even then, even though I understood the principles to make quality friends and to make them last, they're two separate very things. Even though I know the principles to do or go about doing that, I found a lot of friction in my approach to both of those things. Simply because, again, I was scared, mostly scared of rejection. And I've recently been noticing that the fear of rejection, rejection as in the rejection of this totality of a human, rejection of Philly, by somebody else, is not something that I can take. Because my identity holds on to the idea of Philly as being this perfect character in my brain. And I just cannot come to grips with the fact that somebody might not like me, especially amongst the girls. I cannot handle it. Boys, not as much, because it's quite easy to strike a conversation with boys. I have a lot more guy friends than girlfriends, and because of that imbalance in my social life, there is a clear lack in my understanding of the feminine energy, the feminine mind, and all of that. And these are avenues that I am infinitely curious of as well, and that I would like to explore. It's just that fear is holding me back. The apartment that I live at right now, it's in a fairly quaint street in this bustling city of Bombay. It's a little isolated, and that's why you probably can't hear much traffic outside. Anywhere else, it would you would be hearing honking and shouting and all of that. Point I'm trying to make is, out of my window, I can see this cute little cafe that was recently opened, and I always see people that I would like to befriend hang out in that cafe. Now, I've been to that cafe once, a little bit of a tangent, but I hated their coffee. And so, because of that, I told myself I am not going back there. But a lot of people like that spot simply because it has the vibes, so to speak. And yesterday, I happened to hear a lot of laughter coming out from the cafe. The cafe is openly lit, uh, and it's exposed to the outside. So that's an important distinction we have to make. It's a lot more approachable space, instead of it just being closed off, air conditioned, it's a lively happening spot. It's a small little spot, it's a lively happening spot. And yesterday there were a bunch of girls and two guys, I think, that were all playing Jenga and having fun. And I felt a deep FOMO. I honestly felt a deep sense of FOMO. So I wrote to myself, I asked, hey, listen, if you are indeed the kind of person that's infinitely curious, which I have begun to adopt that mindset, then fear shouldn't really hold you back from exploring those curiosities. Pretty powerful if you think about it, that mindset. So I have this card game. It's called Cards versus Sanskar. It's it's an Indian version of Cards Against Humanity, if you're familiar with that game. And it's highly riveting. It's highly fun, and it's one of my favorite card games to go and play with my friends. So I took my deck, and I remember thinking to myself, "Am I really doing this? Am I really doing this?" And the voices are talking inside my head. They're like, "Yes, you are, Philip. Go and do it." So I'm like, "Okay, yeah, fine, I'll do it." I took my card, I put on some moisturizer, put on a little bit of perfume. I stepped outside with my card. My heart is beating. It's racing quite fast. And I get down to my building and I can see the cafe, like it's right in front of me. It's not that far off. You just need to cross a single lane street. I chickened out. I absolutely chickened out. I was like, yeah, no way. And I just ended up telling myself, hey, spend a little bit more time outside. Maybe you can muster up the courage. So I was like, okay, fine. Go. I walk to the chemist, pick up a small bottle of water for myself, just so that if I go and begin my game with them, I can sip on the water because I like staying hydrated. Picked up the bottle of water, walked by the cafe again, and still no shot. I am not doing it. But what I am proud of is this. It's my willingness to go and at least place myself there, even if I didn't actually do anything with it. So it's not about your competency with trying to break out of these bubbles that you've established for yourself that limits you from discovering your true potential. It's more so about the willingness to destroy that bubble so that you can move past it and transcend to something that's more evolved and more encompassing. And so you're trying to be bigger than yourself. That's the essence of self development. That's the essence. That's kind of the essence of humanity as a whole. Like life unfolds in chapters and phases, and after each phase, we take the learnings of the previous phase and we bring that over to the next. And there are certain ages that's most appropriate for you to discover all of this by yourself. Uh, if you are in your teens and if you're in your early 20s and late 20s, it's the perfect age for you to do that. It's I just find it so funny that the education that we so very rely on, and depend upon to um, nurture our future into success is incapable of teaching us valuable life skills like this. It's just expected that no, school is not supposed to teach you all of these things. These are things that you discover for yourself through life on your own. But it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, that's what I'm trying to like shift that paradigm of this learning does not need to be done all alone, feeling like you are alone in this whole world. This learning should be the one that should be inculcated in from a very young age, actually, so that we can become better members of communities that we are part of. The social distance that I'm feeling heavily hinders on my ability to be charismatic, be be a certain type of individual that can certainly push society forward. And this is not exclusive to me, this is very much applicable to you as well. It's just that we put this in the back burner and we say that nope, the master's degree, the bachelor's degree, the admission into this college, and uh, the admittance, or the acceptance into a job with X amount of figures a year is the thing that I should be truly focused on right now, because that will eventually get me the most happiness. But it's like putting the cart before the horse. It doesn't work. And I can say that through direct observation of the reality that I see for myself. It simply does not work. The method that you are so blindly trusting, the institution that you are so blindly trusting with all of your faith that this will get me somewhere, whether that be a religious institute, economic institute, school, college, whatever it might be, whatever it might be, you are still entrusting somebody else with your fucking future. That is extremely toxic. That will not get you the happiness that you want, because you are at the low and mercy of somebody else all the time. You you are a puppeteer. Actually, you are the puppet. Somebody else is a puppeteer. The willingness to break out of these cycles, the willingness to break out of these limiting beliefs that you've imposed on yourself, not through any other means, by the influence of everybody around you, and the culture that you were raised and everything, is very much limiting your potential as a human being. It's limiting the potential of value that you can provide to others, which in turn will result in value that you can provide for yourself, like the house that you've always wanted, the family life that you've always dreamed of, the vacations that you get to go on, the car that you've always wanted to buy. I cannot stress the importance of the idea of breaking out of bubbles. And the natural, I get so frustrated with this, because the natural tendency of the human mind is to say that no, but I'm perfectly comfortable here, and the plan that I have for myself will work out, so why even bother? You're not asking the right questions. Or or entertain this as a possibility, you have a very skewed version of what your reality is actually is, and where that is heading you to. Now, I know this has been quite all over the place. I'm not sure if you can follow along, but hopefully, if you can, I could maybe I just planted the seed of fuck, you need to scare yourself into doing something that you never thought possible, just so that you can learn from that fucking situation, so that you are prepared for situations when it arises to you because you've already dealt with them firsthand out of your own willingness. See, that's very important. That's a very important distinction that we have to make. That there is no other way to go about this thing of life. Shit will be thrown at you all the fucking time. It's just that how much shit did you expose yourself to at a very young age? The answer is not much for a lot of you, even for myself. And that's why I'm saying that we should, man. Me and you, we are in this together. We are in this journey together. It takes a little bit of time for you to grok all of this, but we are in this together. And the community of self improvement has dramatically transformed in the past 4 years as well, since when I first got into it. Because now, if you start a new YouTube, you don't even need to start a new channel. You just need to make a new account and just start following some self improvement creators only. You can see that the niche has become quite nicheless. Like everybody is getting in on it, including myself. I'm also getting in on it. If you have me, if you got me suggested in your homepage, then that means that, and you're not a part of self improvement. Like you don't follow self improvement all that much. This is your sign. And maybe my teachings might not resonate with you all that much, but somebody else's might. See, it's a very pick and choose sort of a situation. Like you might not like raspberries, you might like blueberries, but I personally I love raspberries more than blueberries. And it's exactly that. Choose your berry. Choose your choose your creative guru, and choose, but choose wisely as well, because there are some berries that are poisonous that will kill you. So more likelier than not, it's best to stick with things that are just outside what you are comfortable with, which I am assuming that if you're listening to me all this while, you are comfortable with these things that I'm trying to tell you and you resonate with them and something strikes a chord with you. But you are continuing to listen because I can still tell you something new. And that's exactly the whole point of it. Find gurus that you can almost know what they're going to say next, but every time they say something else, it kind of shocks you and it makes you think a little bit. Mastering my fear has been one of the most challenging things that I've undertaken, and the approach to mastering my fear is a little bit in depth, and I don't know if I can even begin to verbalize what that means for me, because it's a very difficult process that I'm undergoing, and it's going to take me a lot of time for me to actually even understand a little bit of clarity of where this is heading. But it's been rather powerful for the time being, and that's something that is quite interesting to always take back with you, I think, is that if something feels so outside your realm of knowledge, then that's something that's definitely worth exploring. So keep exploring, place yourself in challenging situations because you love the challenge that's associated with that situation, not because of anything else. Uh, and grow yourself more as a human being, because this is the prime age for me to grow, me personally. And if you are listening to me, then I'm assuming that you are almost my age as well, which would make this the ideal prime time for you to grow as well. Ask that girl out, make that new friend, get that job interview, flirt with a girl that you think is completely outside your league. I don't know. There is a lot of things that you can explore. Explore a religion that's not yourself, that's not your own, or that's something that's been taught to you. So right now, I'm uh, my family identifies as a Christian, but I'm personally exploring Islam because Islam apparently builds upon Christianity, which is sort of interesting. Um, and yeah, I'm discovering different facets of reality that I didn't know existed, and I'm trying not to be as close-minded as I can about it. Not to be close-minded about it because I am quite close-minded. I wouldn't say that I'm an open-minded person. I'm very close-minded, but it's just how much close-minded am I willing to make this whole shtick be? And you might not ever get to asking out that girl or flirting with that girl or landing yourself that placement in the job because you're even afraid to set foot inside the door. But the whole idea is that approach the fucking door at least. Like, go there at least and then decide if you want to enter. But just keep going there. Because the more you go there, the more you'll be like, why am I just standing outside the door all the time? Like, why don't I just like peek? Why don't I just enter? And honestly, nothing bad is gonna come out of that whole thing. If you really think about it, like you're not gonna die. You're not gonna lose an arm. The worst that you the worst that some other person can tell you is fuck off. And I think we should be ready to take that fuck off. Ready to take that hit to our ego. Because that fuck off implies that, hey, maybe we're not as perfect as we thought or as we imagined. And that there is something, quite possibly, that we could do to make ourselves a lot more approachable. And through that very process, you discover who you are authentically. That's where we are all getting to with this whole thing. Discovering who we are authentically so that we can put our authentic energy out into the world and actually contribute towards making real positive change. So that's the homework for the week. Think about that and drop down a comment below of if you made it this far and what you think about this kind of conversation style. And yeah, I really don't have much to say in terms of ending because I will continue to do a lot more of this. That's a promise. There is a lot more of this coming. It's just I'm very shy. And I'm not sure how much of the words that I'm trying to tell you are actually even valid. There's that imposter syndrome in me, which I'm also trying to combat and challenge. So, thank you for sticking with me for as long as you have, and I'll catch you guys the next time. Peace.